Call this to order. Everyone please rise. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Anybody on council communications?
Let us pray. I will praise you for this today. That's it, bless the speaking. And all of us in the prayer. And that this meeting will be guided into our hands to build up and have power. In Jesus' name.
Amen.
I understand we have you guys can
Good evening, everyone. We have a special guest here tonight. It's our new pastor of White Oak Anglican Church, Reverend Dr. Vincent Meekin. Would you please stand? This is our new pastor of White Oak Anglican Church. Welcome you to the town.
Everyone hear me okay? I want to remind everyone there's a 5-minute time limit on the comments during public session. This is not like to hear it. If we had to move back at the beginning of the month, we've already had that piece. It's not going to be back and forth. It's an opportunity to present further information to town council for their consideration. This is part of the agency. I'll go ahead and speed up. Steve, if you could also what's the speaking? See what agenda item you're speaking.
I'm just speaking in general. I do not have the moratorium. How's that go? How's that go? Steve Hucks, live on Old Church Road. And normally when I come and speak in front of councils, as I've done in front of Lancaster County quite a few times, I come forward with a nice, well-written thing that addresses all the facts. I'm talking general tonight. You're going to hear tonight from a lot of people. I'll talk about the facts, the concerns within the strategic plan, the moratorium and everything. But I want to go back to 4 or 5 years ago when this town was being put together. And not trying to throw an old story here, but we know how that goes. I met quite a few of you. Actually got kind of close to a few of them as we're being, let's say, recruited. The large landowners were the missing link to be able to get so many people in this town to get it to where it is today. And I think I can pretty much speak for all of the landowners, especially the large landowners, that the last thing we wanted was to be in any town. But at the time, we specifically didn't want to be in Indian land. We liked the county. We were perfectly fine with what the county had. We were concerned, very much so, with Indian land. We were concerned with Van Wyck. But Van Wyck, the people coming to us were our neighbors. And I've had a couple of you at my house before as we were being recruited on this, a bunch of phone calls. And as we gave our concern about being in a municipality, we were told point blank, we do not want to change anything that you have now. We are going to adopt what the county has. We're not going to do this. We don't want to be told what to do any more than you do. We don't want Indian land to come down. And as a protection, this is what we're going to do. Very reluctantly, a lot of landowners went in to this town, and we took to heart what we were told. we took to heart that our best interest would be kept at heart. Now, as I read through the strategic plan, I hear about a moratorium and I hear along other things. I have to admit, from where I'm sitting, I'm starting to think that instead of being protected from Indian land, I wonder who's going to protect us from Bamback. A lot of things in there are good. A lot of things in there are a little concerning, especially to the larger landowners. I came to the planning commission meeting the other night, first meeting I've been to. After it's over with, I heard comments such as calling people troublemakers, crazy. We're talking about our neighbors. It wasn't any of the, I didn't hear that from any of the people I'm speaking to right now, but I heard it from people that were sitting in chairs at night behind the microphones. We're neighbors. And I know that at the end of the day, you've got to make decisions. I sat on Lancaster County Planning Commission for years. I chaired for several years. I know what it's like to have to make decisions that are not popular. I know what it's like to make a decision when you know good and well that you're going to make about half the people upset, and the other half you're going to make happy. It's not easy, it's tough. But at the end of the day, I want you to think about this. What were those promises that you made to those large landowners in order to get them to come on board to be able to bridge the gaps, to bring all of the other smaller landowners in? That's what's got me concerned right now. Because like I said, from where I'm sitting, the town of Van Wyck might be just as big a concern as what we had in visions of what the town of Indian Land would have been. So I'm gonna leave it at that.
This is Williamson.
William Sims, 4457 Charlotte Highway. That's a hard one to follow there, what Steve spoke about. But I'm also here to speak about the moratorium. And this is a personal interest I have, is that my property has been under contract. And they have turned in a plan to the Planning and Zoning Board for here in the town. And what I want to bring to the city council is to take into consideration the plan for the development that has been made to the Planning and Zoning to keep my property out of the moratorium, because that'll put another year, delay on my property. Now that's just for my personal standpoint. And one other and last thing, and I brought it up to the planning board last week, that I do want to make another public apology to my friends, my neighbors, the ones I grew up with, my church family, of the remark that I made that was uncalled for. And I realize that. And I do want to publicly apologize to Rosa and Roy. And I am very sorry. And I hope y'all will accept my apology. And that's it for me. I'm not going to make any more smart comments.
Thank you. We see Reverend Meekins on here. Did you want to speak on anything this evening, sir?
No, I just wanted to introduce myself. It's already been done. Thank you.
Well, welcome again.
Thank you.
I don't see Keith Starlins on here, but
Keith Starnes, I live at 261 West Rebound Road. I fully agree with Steve Huck. In fact, I was going to touch on the same subject, especially what we were promised when we got in this town and where we are right now with this long-range plan. I just want to talk a few minutes about part of this thing. On page 9, the purpose of the plan. The town of Van Wyck chose to first develop the elements required as to the foundation from 2020 zoning for land development regulation. That was the purpose of this. Now, I have said that this thing is no more than a blueprint for making zoning and other building permits and everything else. I was basically, I wouldn't say I was told by Catawba, but it was just a starting point. It also says the first to the above, okay, got that. On page 10, the rezoning area. It says that first of all, let me say, I've been astonished as I read this thing, because as Steve said, we were going to basically remain the same size. This planning area is from North Kona all the way up to the state line on the right-hand side, Old Church Road, to the intersection of Highway 75 going to Waxhaw. It turns and crosses. There used to be a road up, a stripping road up here on Van Wyck Road. This road used to run all the way through. Y'all not old as I am, but we used to hunt all through there. And it came out right across the railroad tracks going to Shaw. It was a public road. The planning department told me this line is south of that road and north of Treetop. Now, I almost fell off to think that we would use Treetop in this planning thing. As Steve said, we were supposed to stay basically like we are. There was no annexation. Hell, we did this because the Indian land was going to take us over. When you go from 9.2 miles, as it says in here, it's like us taking over Indian land. We'll be larger than, I don't know if we're larger than Lancaster, but I don't know how far 9.2 miles is. It's from 521 rebound to the bypass in Lancaster. So that's hard for me to believe. Anyway, if I'm wrong, you correct me. Page 13 talked about public involvement. Now, I really got a problem with this because I had no idea what was going on until I picked up the Lancaster paper about 2 or 3 weeks ago. And there was an article on the front page. At the bottom, it said, go do vanwycktown.com. And I came upon this thing, they were going to do this planning thing. I had no earthly idea. As I checked around and called people, they didn't know what I was talking about. Now, I understand you put this thing on the internet. I don't never look on the internet. I don't go to the post office. I don't know how you're going to go about telling these people, but nobody in this town hardly, except a select few, and I would say on this road, knew about this. Secondly, there was 128 people sent it back. 50% of them were from Millstone Creek. My God, they're not even in this town. I mean, why would you count all this data? 50% of it comes from Millstone Creek. And I just don't understand. 80% of these people said that they wanted a rural setting for this town. Well, I guarantee you, if you implement this plan, there will be no Van Wyck, no more rural land. I know the town's gonna build up, but y'all were gonna set the development route where we wouldn't have another treetop. We wouldn't have a Sun City. So the page 33 is planning objective of this document. This is what the objective is. Adopt and implement land development ordinances in accord with future land play. So that means this is what I said. It's an instrument from which you're gonna do a lot of your planning and adopting. On 33, it says the planning objective, adopt and implement land development ordinance in accordance with future land use plan. I just said that. The strategies are create ordinance and zoning that allow a variety of housing options in all residential neighborhoods. Require all developments that incorporate development homes that add value to communities through basic architectural design guidelines. Adopt development guidelines to ensure high quality architecture and the preservation of natural environment. And develop standards to include context sensitive materials and prevent blank building facts.
Keith, we're past the five.
Huh?
We're past the five.
You passed it?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll come back next time and continue.
Thanks. Next name on here, Susan Wallace, speaking on the moratorium and conference.
Good evening. My name is Susan Wallace. I live on Old Church Road, and I'm concerned about the moratorium and the comprehensive plan. Residents do not know the actions of the Planning Commission or this town council. I know that progress is important, but this town was built off the backs of a lot of laborers in that brickyard. There are a lot of long-term residents that have voiced there's a strong appearance of discrimination. I think those and others that you've heard from should be taken seriously, and you should push pause until there is a thorough understanding and people ethically feel better about what you're doing. I don't mean that as any insult personally to anyone. It's just the appearance of discrimination. When there are actions by a planning commission based on 14% of a population, that in itself is a very small voice. And it's already been vocalized that those voices were not the ones that even knew what business you were taking care of. So please consider tabling the business that is at hand until people know about it.
Thank you. Aubrey.
Patty Aubrey, 8105 Van Wyck Road. I'm reading a sentence from this little thing that we got in the meeting. It says the final plan for the community. It takes citizens working with the town council, the planning commission, to use the roadmap to the comprehensive plan to decide the how and the when to implement. They can't help you if they don't know that. I don't have a computer to use at home. Jennifer has a computer. I don't have one. I have a hard time getting to the town of Van Wyck site on my telephone. And I'm probably not the only one that doesn't have a computer. The school system provides computers for their children. Internet could be a problem. There are a lot of people in Van Wyck that have no idea about what's going on. The survey, you know, how are we supposed to know about the survey? You develop this plan on a survey that there are a lot of people don't even know anything about. I didn't know about it until right before the last meeting. Feels like you're not being very transparent if the internet is the only way we're supposed to know about things. At the last meeting, we said that we needed a newsletter. You said you would develop a newsletter. When I went to the planning committee the other week, it was asked, would the newsletter go out before y'all voted tonight? I said, no. I think a newsletter should go out to everyone in Van Wyck before you vote on this. Thank you.
Thank you. Jane Massey's on here. Go ahead.
My name is Jane Massey. I live at 428 West Rebound Road. And I'm here on a different matter. I'm here to say thank you. Thank you to the town for the great 4th of July event we had. Thank you, Christy. Christy was here. I think she deserves a round of applause. She put it together and she did most of it. Decorating and the planning by herself. So I think that's great. So thank you, Christy. And of course, we want to thank the fire department. He just left. Except for one. I want to thank them for the great fireworks display they did. It was fantastic this year. I don't think anybody realizes the time and the effort the guys do to get this thing ready. And speaking of the fire department, under new business, yes, let's do it. Let's have our fee and let's give them some money they well deserve. Thank you.
Thank you, Jane. Stole my thunder there. Name everybody who's involved. We'll do that.
I'd like to tell William Sims.
Let's keep this for that. Keep this order, please. That wraps up the public speaker session this evening. Everyone who spoke, weigh your comments accordingly as we move forward with this. Before we get into the rest of the agenda, I am going to please call out a few names that were involved in the July 4th setup. Definitely Chrissy. You're every bit of that. It's fantastic. As well as Lindsay Fannin, Michelle Milosauskas, Justin Milosauskas, Jane Massey, Brandon Kozer, Richard Paula, and Mike. Also call out on raffle donations, Dance U, the Ivy Place, Bedford Brewery, Bob Doster, Jane Massey. And food trucks that were here were Tappet, the Pelican Snowballs, Lancaster, and Wilbur's Last Drive. All that was great. I heard nothing but compliments. So thank you for all your hard work. All right, moving on. Let's go ahead and approve the July 5th meeting agenda. Does everyone have a copy of the agenda from them? Any additions or deletions to the agenda for consideration?
We have a deletion.
Yes, I've been told of the deletion. We did have a new annexation on this evening, but that was pulled off and tabled for the future to death. So we'll move that off. I think it was marked off the ones that we had here. But if you pulled the one online, that's been marked. It may still be on there, but that's not going to be up for review. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
Make that motion.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye. Next up is the approval of the minutes from the June 7th meeting. Everyone have a copy of those in front of them? Do you have any additions or deletions to the minutes? All right, do I have a motion to approve the minutes from the July 5th meeting? Moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Have it. Minutes are approved. Skip over the finance report. We don't have one this evening. On to the policy agenda this evening. First up is ordinance number 2021-03. It's an ordinance to oppose 12-month moratorium on the acceptance and processing of applications for district boundary amendments, conditional uses, major subdivision developments, and development agreements in the town of Van Wyck, and to provide for other matters related thereto. This is the second reading. Do I have a motion to consider the ordinance?
Second.
I'll second.
All right, so moved and seconded on the question of consideration of ordinance number 2021-03. Seconded, including discussion. Not, I will go ahead and move to table it because the our legal counsel has not adjusted the language quite yet on that per what came out of the last meeting. So we're going to go ahead and move that down to, well, I'm going to move that we move it to the August meeting. Second meeting. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Moratorium has been moved to August. To the second reading. All right, ordinance number 2023-04. Ordinance to adopt the town of Van Wyck 2023-2022 this fiscal year municipal budget. This is the second reading. Motion to consider the ordinance.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Been moved and second on the question of consideration ordinance number 2021-04. Do we have a discussion? If not, are we ready for the question? Do I have a motion to adopt ordinance number 2021-04?
I'll make that motion.
Move the second, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? It's adopted. Moving along, we have ordinance number 2021-05. It's an ordinance to amend Title II, Chapter 12, Van Wyck Code of Ordinances relating to the term of office for mayor and council members. So as to make a change, we'll implement the staggered terms. I have a motion to consider ordinance number 2021-05.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Is there any discussion, Steve? No? Please move on to the question. Do I have a motion to adopt ordinance number 2021-05?
I'll make that motion.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Ayes have it. Adopt. All right. Ordinance number 2021-06. This is the ordinance adopting the town of Van Wyck, South Carolina 2031 comprehensive plan is mandated by the South Carolina Local Government Comprehensive Planning Enabling Act of 1994 as amended. This is the first reading. It was tabled at our last meeting. Do I have a motion to consider ordinance number 2021-06?
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Is there any discussion this evening? Anything from the comments we had this evening? Yeah, I heard several things this evening that were, I know, picked up in prior meetings, Q&A session and the like, and a lot of that was implemented in the changes that are in the plan for consideration. There's not any further questions. We'll just move on to deciding on it. So from there, do I have a motion to adopt ordinance number 2021 no, not adopt. Do I have a motion to approve the first reading of ordinance number 2021 -06? Right, moved and seconded. Question, approval of the first reading ordinance number 2021-06. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? The ayes have it. The first reading is approved. Right. Moving along, ordinance number 2021-07. Ordinance to amend Title II, Chapter 20 of the Van Wyck Code of Ordinances so as to make changes to the duties of the town clerk and to establish the duties of the town treasurer. This is the first reading. Do I have a motion to consider the ordinance?
I'll make that motion.
All right, question consideration of ordinance number 2021-07 has been moved and seconded. Is there any discussions? I'll take the floor briefly. This actually came out of our last audit. The town was founded. It was with all of us, it still is, with the exception of our town clerk, on a voluntary basis. Ms. Vaughn was our initial clerk. And coming out of our last audit, the auditor did suggest that we establish a second position just for to moving forward. So the clerk position and the treasurer position will be separate. And this ordinance takes the duties from that clerk office that were initially adopted and segregates them into the two different roles. So with that said, is there any more discussion on that? Ready for the question? Is there a motion to approve the first reading of ordinance number 2021-08?
I'll make that motion.
Has been moved and seconded. All in, question, yeah, all those in favor say aye. Opposed? First reading is approved. We tabled 2021-0 at the adoption of the agenda. All right, that's it for the ordinances. Moving on to the resolution. Resolutions, got two here that are not written resolutions. First is appointing the sculpture selection committee for the sculpture contest. We talked to everyone that the names that have been suggested to us, and they've all agreed. So far, it's Robert Doster, Cassandra Watkins, still, right?
Yeah.
Krista Cook, Lisa Essex, Bill Acree, Claudia Thompson, David Helwer, and James Boots. Hopefully I said James's name right. And the meeting for the sculpture selection process is going to be on 6 p.m.
So Sean, on that, that's 8 people. Did you say it had to be an odd number?
Does not have to be an odd number. The way it's going to be a ranked choice voting thing. I think that's how they're going to.
Okay.
So doesn't matter if it's odd or. All right. So with that resolution, do I have a motion to consider the resolution for appointing the sculpture committee? Selection committee? Question for consideration. Moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Nope. Ready for the question? Is there a motion to adopt the resolution?
Make that motion.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye. Resolution approved. Next one should be the next one as well. The Lancaster County Council on Aging, who is renting the building a couple days a week from us, is offered to install an automatic, probably going to mess this up, an AED device or defibrillator device that you have in a lot of public places. I think it'd be a good add for us. We're going to go ahead and consider that real quick. Have a motion to consider the resolution. I'll make that motion.
Second it.
He has been moved and seconded. Any other discussion? We're ready for the question. Is there a motion to adopt the resolution to allow the Lancaster County Council on Aging to install an AED device here in the community center? All in favor, say aye. Next one. Okay, on to new business. First item I have here, and thank you, Jane Massey, for bringing this up earlier. The Lancaster County Council has approved a referendum ballot question for this fall that'll allow those of us living in the Van Wyck Fire District to decide if we want to have an additional fire district fee paid out of our property taxes. And so just letting everyone know that's going to be on the agenda. I know that the fire department folks have lobbied long and hard between myself and the county to try to make this happen. And I understand the funds that will come from that will allow them to hire a full-time firefighter rather than being a strictly volunteer group up the road. And with the growth coming to our area, it's going to be, in my mind, pretty critical that we get behind that. But any question here, any discussion here in council about that? Other announcement, candidate registration for the Van Wyck Town Council election in November. It opens on August 2nd. And there's going to be an announcement that comes out. And as with everything else that is done with the town, it'll be, yes, on the website. It'll also be posted in a couple places around town, the community center being one of them, and put in the newspaper. So those of you who are interested in serving your town and would like to run for town council office, know that that's coming up. Anything else on that? Council have questions? I already mentioned the sculpture of the landscape art selection meeting for the 12th. Do we want to do our next work session on the 26th at 7 p.m. as has become our habit?
That's fine.
No. All in favor, say aye. Work session 26 at 7 p.m. Hey, anybody on council have any other new business that is not listed on the? Nope. All right. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
I second.
Moved and seconded. We are adjourned.